Welcome to the Hot Lava Podcast. Kevin Acee, Padres beat writer for the Union-Tribune. Ryan Finley's with me, or I'm with him, one or the other. He's my boss. He's the sports editor of the Union-Tribune. Padres just won 3 of 4 against the Nationals. Dropped the final game on Sunday. I'm sorry, the Brewers, and I'm already on. I am on to the Nationals. I am ready for C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, and the 38 and 39 Nationals to come to Petco Park. Ryan, where would you like to start?
I'd like to start with the news. And, today's Padres Daily, you led with something that, maybe nothing, but sounds like it's something, which is while Yu Darvish is still penciled in to return from the injured list on Tuesday night, that may not happen. Tell the folks what's going on.
Well, you did not do his pre-start. You would usually call it a between start, but his last start was May 29th. He's been on the IL with a groin injury. He did not do that, and that so made me wonder. And the Padres would not deny that there was something wrong with him. I'm not sure. Was it hip? Was it back? Couldn't get that confirmed. But basically, it was clear that there's something going on and his start is in jeopardy. I'd be surprised if he makes that start on Tuesday. Do not know how long that will be. That delay will be. What it does real quickly say to me is that kind of the thing that I've written quite a few times is, Yu Darvish at 37 years old, he'll be 38 by the end of the season. And there's things that just start cropping up and that you don't recover from as quickly or as fully sometimes as you did when you were younger. And, that's what's playing out here. And eventually, your injury history kind of portends your injury present and your injury future. I'm not saying Yu Darvish won't come back, and never have another problem, but this is something.
The Padres have proven, I think, this year, Kevin, that they're willing to sort of take the long view when it comes to guys like Yu Darvish, in part because they think they're going to be playing meaningful games in September. Taking 3 of 4 from the Brewers, certainly a step in the right direction. It's funny for all the sort of sky is falling talk that we had after New York and again after the first few games in Philadelphia. I believe they're 4-6 over their last 10. Not where they want to be, but certainly better than they were the last 3-4 days, or we're better than where they were a week ago. What is clicking for them, and what worked really well against the Brewers?
They hit a lot of home runs,
right?
They got good bullpen. As much as you could say that there were some lapses, their bullpen came through. Obviously, Matt Waldron in the final game of the road trip, they're 6-6 over their last 12, which is pretty remarkable considering there was a 5-game losing streak in there. Right. Like I said, this is what they are. They're a team that hovers around 500, much like the Nationals and several other teams in the National League. The Nationals, by the way, come in right like either a game or a half a game. They played like 5 fewer games than the Padres, but half game or a game behind the Padres in the wild card race. So with the Padres having 80 games to go, just wanted to update you on that.
Yeah, a little bit of a payroll discrepancy too between those two teams, especially when you talk about active payroll. I know the Nationals are still paying Steven Strasburg, and a pitcher who we'll see tonight, Patrick Corbin, is a financial drain on them. But otherwise, they're a lot of guys making the league minimum, including C.J. Abrams, who's been a pretty darn good shortstop for them.
Yeah, well, when we'll get to C.J., Patrick Corbin is a guy who, like, as much as he can provide for a team, nice, like, a veteran and all that with the youth they have, he's there because they didn't want to eat that. They've eaten a lot of contracts. And so Patrick Corbin, who's like 1-5 and seems to be every time the Padres face him 1-5, and they either destroy him or they just do like okay against him. And it's kind of disappointing because it's like, come on, how did you not do better against Patrick Corbin? So yeah, CJ Abrams, look, if there's a guy, there's only a handful of guys and the names are Shohei Ohtani and that kind that are as hot as Jackson Merrill here in June. But C.J. Abrams is one of those. That's the shortstop. He had started to be the Padres shortstop in 2022 before he and Mackenzie Gore, who will start tomorrow night, Tuesday, were sent as part of a giant package to the Nationals on August 2nd, 2022 for Juan Soto and Josh Bell. Right. But we refer to it as the Juan Soto trade. That was a huge part of the Nationals rebuilding. And I would say give them credit. Here they are. They're 38 and 39. They've been terrible, but they're that very impressive. And CJ Abrams, he's kind of on track to be like a 25-25 guy, which I think the Padres felt was, it hurt them to give him away, but it was like, we're going for Juan Soto here. And here's, the ceiling that we think CJ Abrams is. And so we're comfortable with that. Going to strike out a lot, going to make a lot of errors, but he's going to steal some bases and is going to have some pop. And I think he's hitting like 270 right now. So that's pretty good. So very interested to see him come back.
He was a little bit of a polarizing prospect, if I recall correctly, too. Mm-hmm. They, for a while, wondered if he could play the outfield. He was a guy who played shortstop, but if I recall correctly, and it was 2 years ago and it was a small sample size, was not a great defensive shortstop during his limited time as their starter. Kind of a polarizing guy who I think is really proving some Nationals people very, very right here so far this season.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting, right? Like that's everyone's got their views on baseball players or on baseball teams, and you might look like a genius, and the same person on something else or the next year look like a total fool. This is just a crazy game, and there just is no predicting it. And you know what? There is no perfect player. So yeah, CJ Abrams has trouble fielding and throwing. Okay. Is he going to hit you 25 bombs and steal you 30 bases? And are you willing to put up with that? Because of that, that's what he'll do for you. And you know what? Unless you're talking about one of the top 4 or 5 shortstops in the league, that's what you're going to get. You're going to be happy. A lot of teams would die to have a guy who is up near the league leaders in errors, but also makes some really nice plays. And then, like I said, is a 25-25 guy. That's, it's a decent player.
And shortstops, I think, are kind of tough to project a little bit too. Again, famously, there were some of the Padres organization that maybe weren't as high on Trey Turner as others were. And, he ended up shipped out of town. You look at somebody like Fernando Tatis Jr., who we'll talk about here in a minute, right? He has had his detractors as a shortstop. Jackson Merrill, he's a shortstop playing center field. I get it, man. I get it. You're right. You have to sacrifice some things for other things at a position like shortstop. You could also go get a guy like Nomar Vizquel, who will hit you, $198, but be flawless in the field. Is that worth it? Who knows?
I loved me some Freddie Galvis. He stabilized the Padres' position on a season that didn't matter. But I love that. That's not really, unless you have just a whole bunch of guys around him, that's not going to win you any championships.
Right. No, you're 1,000% correct. Let's talk about Tatis here for a minute. I think scared some people, got hit on the elbow or lower, what they call it, lower biceps?
Tricep.
Okay, got hit in the tricep. But that's not what is keeping him out. It continues to be this quadriceps issue that he's been dealing with for a while. Really flared up during their recent East Coast road trip. I mean, the Padres went so far as to bring up a AAA player yesterday just in case they had to put Tatis on the IL. I know we're not in the projection business here, but does this look like an IL stint to you?
As of yesterday, yes. They were close, and there's some thought that could really benefit him and get this quad issue behind him. That said, the guy's been, hitting really well. It's a problem when he runs. They don't have a high degree of concern that he'll make it worse, but it could get worse. And so resting it would be kind of the way to go. A lot of people seem to think Tatis doesn't want to stop playing. And now this is always a 3-pronged decision. You have the team, you have the player, you have the player's representative, right? So you can say it's a 2-prong, the player and his representative, the team. But you got the medical team, you've got the front office, you've got Tatis, you got Tatis' agent, and this is how generally these things work, and everybody has to sort of be on in agreement. I just say that just to say, the Padres are not being irresponsible. You just said it. They have shown that they're going to be careful with guys this year. But that's a guy they need. That's a guy who has been performing. That's a guy who says he can continue to play. So, but it sure sounds like this guy's going on the IL.
Is DHing him a possibility?
Yes, that is something also that they've talked about. On the other hand, then he still has to run the bases.
Right. And if that were the case, that just would mean, in theory, just more David Peralta, right? or some sort of Peralta Sugar combo in right field.
Yep. There you go. And it's who's pitching, right? So you're really looking at Jose Azocar probably for this entire series, I would think.
Right.
I just don't see how it was so obvious that the hit by pitch was a distraction, right? He got hit by a pitch, it hurt. They could say that he left the game with that. It had been obvious on 2 plays before that, just in that game. Wow, this thing is really bothering him. And so the quad, I mean. And so, I just think, wow, it would be surprising based on what you see and what you hear. And like, it really did look like they were going to be going on that he was going to be going on the IL yesterday. I believe it is possible that I've lost Ryan. So I will start to talk about the Nationals. The Nationals are 38-39. Like, this is what I've been talking about, where, Ryan, you're back with me. So I'm talking about the Nationals and the fact they're 38-39, and this is very much like the Padres to a certain extent. The difference being expectations. I'm not saying Nationals fans are like all happy about the Nationals being 38-39, but like, here's what they've done recently. Swept by the Mets. Took 3 of 4 against the Braves, 2 of 3 against Detroit. They swept Miami. They lost 2 of 3 to Arizona. They took 2 of 3 in Colorado. This is how a team is a game below 500 or a game above 500.
Right.
You've got Patrick Corbin going tonight against Waldron. You've got whoever going against Mackenzie Gore tomorrow. We already talked about that Darvish might be out.
Right.
And you've got Dylan Cease going against DJ Hers, a rookie who will be making his 5th start. So all left-handers, by the way, in case you're not familiar with Hers, that he's a left-hander as well. The Nationals have some injuries in their rotation that have taken their right-handers off the table. So that's why Hers is up and why they basically, it was guaranteed they were going to be throwing out 3 lefties against the Padres.
Right. So we're looking then, I mean, and again, so much of this hinges on whether or not Tatis goes to the IL, right? But if we're looking at sort of a lineup versus a lefty, I mean, this would mean certainly a little bit more Azocar, right? This would mean, I mean, Kyle Higashioka is their catcher now, right? I mean, Campusano's on the IL. Brett Sullivan's a lefty. So this would be, in theory, 3 days of Kyle Higashioka, right?
Yeah, and I looked back, and he did do that for the Yankees. He was a semi-regular catcher for the Yankees. Has not done it yet for the Padres, but I just don't really see any way around it. They've been pretty strict about that with, like, Brett Sullivan. Now, he's been really doing well down in AAA, and yes, everybody does well in AAA, but he really sustained it. He's a guy who can also – he has other skill sets. Laid down a bunt single yesterday. So – maybe Brett does get the Wednesday game or something. Higashioka is going to go tonight. Maybe it is that they believe that he could work with Cease, or maybe Sullivan works the bullpen game tomorrow, or whoever's going to. Because you have a complication with Yu Darvish. If Yu Darvish can't go, and it certainly looks like he won't, but you have a complication because you send Adam Mazur down. Mm-hmm. Because you were bringing up Tom Cosgrove and you were expecting Yu Darvish to go on Tuesday. So, all right, cool. We got a beleaguered bullpen here and we can get an extra reliever. Well, Yu was never activated, so Mazur can't come back unless there's an injury.
Right.
So it would have to be an injury to another player, perhaps another pitcher to make Mazur be able to come back. We'll see. They've got some stuff to figure out this and there could be a 40-man move that has to be involved here. And I should know this, but I haven't looked ahead to see if there's anybody else. I mean, I suppose they could put Xander on the 60-day because you make that retroactive. And I'm not sure what, Xander's thinking he can come back in a couple weeks. So, but there's a lot of moving parts from my understanding of what they've got to do here in the next day.
Could you just flip Johnny Brito the baseball and go, hey, bullpen day?
Well, Johnny's thrown a couple innings one on Saturday, 2 yesterday, maybe. And Johnny's been a little shaky, but yeah, that's exactly right. Like your first thought goes to Johnny Brito. And you hope what you do is you probably wait before at least, telling us what your options are. You wait to see how much Waldron gives you tonight, right? And Matt Waldron, who ranks third in the majors with, hold on a sec, I wrote it down. I know it's third, 1.82 ERA over his past 8 starts. That's since May 11th. It's like a 0.88 whip, a 128 batting average allowed, one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now I say this and, something will happen tonight, but at some point here, we've got to stop expecting that Matt Waldron is going to come back to earth, right? Like no one keeps up a 1.82, but the fact is that he is the guy right now, and for the past, more than a month, going on 6 weeks, he is the guy that you say, all right, he's going to give us a quality start. And the fact is, he's been giving you 7.
Right. And this leads us perfectly into my final question of the day. I always put you on the spot at the very end. Today is no different. Kevin, you know this. I think I have family in town. They want to go to Petco Park. We have 2 choices. Go tonight and see Matt Waldron. Go tomorrow night and see Mackenzie Gore versus pitcher TBA. Which game should we go to?
Well, I think there is fireworks tonight.
Right. Bobblehead Tuesday, fireworks tonight.
Kids, yep, you got kids to consider. Do they want the bobblehead, Ha-Sung Kim, or do they want fireworks? Now, you got fireworks. I'm assuming everybody can go see fireworks here in a week or so. Right. Except me. I'll be at an airport hotel because I can't get out because airlines suck now. I can't get out of Texas that night. So maybe I'll be able to see fireworks. I don't know. But so I'm going Ha-Sung Kim, Mackenzie Gore.
Interesting. Okay. Now, complicating factors is we're looking for about 10 tickets together. Anyway,
so you're looking for a second job?
Yeah, there's more open seats. There's more open seats tonight than there are tomorrow because, bobblehead. So we'll figure this out. Kevin, I will let you know later tonight whether we followed your advice or not. Thank you for bearing with me here, by the way, for those of you watching. I look like I'm in a hostage video because of this weird camera angle. I'm doing this. I was
expecting you to hold up a newspaper just to prove to us it was today's date.
As you can tell by this Padre game story on the front, it is today, and they're treating me great. But we will be back to normal the next time you and I talk, and that will be Thursday as we line up for the Padres trip against the Boston Red Sox.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent. That'll do it for this episode of the Hot Lava Podcast. For Kevin Acee, I'm Ryan Finley. We'll see you next time.